Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. And first things first, if anybody's portfolio still has a few breaths in it after that absolute bloodbath today in both the market and the crypto markets, then hey, congratulations, because we're still here, still alive, still breathing. We're going to be talking about our reaction here after we see the biggest market dip since the April lows, the last tariff scare, and crypto's biggest liquidations that it's had in history. Talk about a total reset and people probably being a little bit too over leveraged and why that could really pull you down and bring your pants to your knees in the matter of just a few seconds. So we're still alive. We're going to be talking about it, the reaction today, what we're seeing in the market, how Monday could possibly go, and holy Toledo. Hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and let's pop it up on the screen here. Now, first things first, Palantir at 175 actually shows incredible resilience, and this is why a big indicator why I personally don't think it's the end yet. This is not the top yet in my prediction. I still think that buying the dip, that movement is still going to come in. I still think that's definitely a possibility, especially with the announcements that we've already seen from Trump. So 175 here for Palantir, down about 5.4%. Actually pretty resilient for a stock that has a very high valuation behind it. And people have been calling, Palantir so overvalued that when we get a dip, it's going to come crashing down. It's still sitting here at this high consolidation area. Yes, it pulled here from 185 down to 175. It's testing support right there. We'll see what happens come Monday, and especially in the overnight hours on Sunday night. But nonetheless, this is a big gauge right here in terms of the resiliency in the market. Palantir looking quite well. So that actually gives me a decent amount of hope looking at this individual stock by itself. Nonetheless, not a ton of big news for Palantir. Came down about $10 today and wasn't as horrible as I was personally expecting. Now let's talk about the SPY. SPY comes down 19 points, down $19 at 652 right here. You have the general market that pulls back about 2.7%, nearly 3%. S&P 500 here now at 65.52. So this was at 67.50, came down basically about 200 points in terms of the general market. What we had, of course, a lot of you guys probably saw this tweet. Trump had posted out that China basically has taken these extraordinary, aggressive position on trade and sending an extremely hostile letter to the world that effective November 1st, they were going to impose large-scale export controls. That was the first thing. Then you have Trump coming out here and saying President Trump's going to impose a 100% tariff on China starting November 1st. He said he's going to canceling his meeting with the Chinese leader and basically, hey, you got these large tariffs. And then it comes out at a later announcement that he actually hasn't canceled his meeting, but I don't know that they're going to have it, but I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume that we might have it. So is this the taco type of trade, or basically the 100% threat that gets taken out really spooks the market with a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that piles in? You see a lot of liquidation across the board. And then all of a sudden by November 1st, are we going to see possibly a little bit of rockiness in between then, of course, but by November 1st, are we going to see all of a sudden a deal that gets made or something that's less extreme than the 100%? And that's what we've previously seen with how the April low was priced in. We saw a huge dip in the market, and then all of a sudden the reversal in that V-shaped recovery was quite strong, and what we've experienced over the last 6 months. So personally, with kind of how already this kind of direction is heading in terms of this whole political type of show right here, I think that thing is going to exactly happen again. And historically, that's what we have seen. I think it's a big threat, and it's a big negotiation tactic by Trump and, of course, the whole political type of organization. I don't like to get too tied up into the politics, but I like to know, how is the market going to react to that? So that's why I really want to talk about it. Of course, Monday, and I guess until we see a deal that's going to possibly get announced, we're probably going to see some choppiness in the market. I'm not going to be a perma bull 100% of the time, but in terms of the end of the year, I am still maintaining a bullish perspective. That being said, whenever this deal occurs, who knows? We got till November 1st now, so I think the next 3 weeks could be quite shaky. The S&P 500 has had a decent amount of consolidation, at least within the 6,500 and between that 66 and 6,700 area. We got people like that Tom Lee that are also continuing to maintain to be bullish, especially with the VIX that is spiking up right here, money moving more to more safe haven type stocks, more value type stocks. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not too concerned right here. Let's talk about one of the big things before we get too far. Crypto, just quickly talk about here, CNBC talking about how the Dow drops, 900 points. We, of course, had the governmental shutdown, China tightening their controls. That's the whole thing. The volatility index here spiking about 22. So all the things that we kind of said, of course, you're seeing a big sell-off in the tech sector right here. NVDA down about 5%, AMD down about 8%, Tesla down about 5%. So not surprising to see a lot of these big Chinese stocks, big tech stocks that are down right here. We got the governmental shutdown, but people don't really care about that. So a lot of political tension that's really bringing this market down. Let's talk about crypto here, BMNR, because we've been talking about this a lot. Yeah, 51.83, and I actually had to pull out my position because I did have a decent amount of leverage on it, still at a profit, but I had to pull out a much smaller profit than was on the table. That's just because I did not want to go into the weekend with this sitting on my shoulders at all, and basically wanted to see where Ethereum was going to go. And I'm kind of glad I did, because Ethereum is still continuing to see a bit of a sell-off right here. Ethereum down about 14% now over the last 7 days. Over the last single day, down about 12%. Now, Ethereum hits this bottom right here at about 3,500, pops back up, and is now trying to find a little bit of a floor at about 38. Considering the last time we had this kind of this correction here, Ethereum found this floor here at 38. So that's basically me tested right here at about that 3,800 zone. We'll see if that continues to hold. But the amount of liquidation today in the crypto markets was 9.4 billion in 24 hours. And in terms of the actual market capitalization that got pulled off the general market was like 1.7 trillion right here. This is the largest single day event ever witnessed in history in terms of cryptocurrency. This shows you here that people were way too over leveraged, and can just be kind of a lesson to the people that are taking way too much margin out there, people that are being margin called, that people that did not get their limit sell orders that were triggered because they basically weren't able to get filled because the market fell, collapsed that quickly. Just shows you here that sometimes these things can happen. Just a single tweet can really throw this whole market into a whole Spitfire frenzy. And this is why it's important to really do your own due diligence, take the amount of risk that you are comfortable with, because if you get overexposed, like I think a lot of people did in the crypto market today, then that is where you're going to see this type of bloodbath that is continuing to cascade. Now, over the weekend, we'll see what happens. Going to take a break from the markets, going to take a break from really checking crypto. But in terms of BMNR, this is where it's going to get interesting, because now I'm going to be looking more for a re-entry type of point. That's to be looking at personally. I guess I'll just wait to see where this kind of bottoms out at, and to see where the market is. In terms of the last local bottom for BMNR, that was at 48. So that could be tested right here. If it falls underneath 48, you have some support here kind of at that 47 zone, and the down here at the lower 40s at about 42. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But nonetheless, once this big reset happens for BMNR, this is just a cheaper price now for Tom Lee to still keep accumulating Ethereum at a pretty rapid pace to try to reach that whole alchemy of 5%, that whole goal that he's trying to hit. So at a cheaper price now, he has more buying power for the amount of Ethereum that he can purchase, since it's actually at a cheaper price. So we'll see what happens. I'm still bullish on Ethereum once this finds a bottom here into the year end, especially, like I said, if we get a deal sooner than later on this whole 100% tariffs on China. So very, very interesting. In terms of the markets today, some of the other stocks are actually holding up quite well. ASTS right here that had astronomical gains holds pretty quite well, at 82 right here. Oklo still 147, wow, doing pretty good. Google only down about 2% here at 236. So even though that you're seeing a huge, and I think why people were too overexposed is because on X, you're seeing portfolios that just got hit hard. I'm talking hit hard. And the market, this is just a single day, came down about 2.7%. S&P 500 is still at 6,500. And at the end of the day, I think this is just kind of a healthy correction that the market really needed and is healthy to try to formulate a bottom, looking for that reversal for that next leg up. So taking a little bit of the breather here, like I said, not going to be too over leveraged here until we see a deal that's established, until we see the next bottom that is being priced in. Other than that, I hope you guys all did decent out there today. We're able to survive, can go into Monday with a new fresh page, turn that new fresh chapter, and try to put any of these big losses behind you. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Peace out, take care, and I will catch you guys later.